Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about the movie The Housemaid. It's starring Amanda Seyfried and Sydney Sweeney. But before we do that, if you enjoy content like book reviews, show reviews, movie reviews, make sure you subscribe to this channel and like this video for more content like this. So without further ado, let's get into The Housemaid. So I went to see this movie, and I knew that it was a book to movie. I knew kind of what it was about. And this is a book that I wanted to read, but I kept stepping away from because of what it read like. And I was just very unsure. However, the movie definitely delivered for me personally. And I know I've read reviews of it, and I know some people have said that they changed the ending, and I feel like they do that a lot with book to movie, so I'm not very much surprised, and I try not to do too much comparison when it comes to stuff like that. However, this movie took me on a roller coaster. So this movie is pretty much about a girl who goes to an interview to be a housemaid. We find out that she actually has an arrest history. She's been in jail, and we find out that she's been in jail for murder. And she pretty much lied on her resume so that she can get this job. She's hired by Amanda Seyfried's character, and Amanda Seyfried's character has a husband and a daughter. Upon Sydney Sweeney, who is the housemaid, coming there, he is taken aback by the fact that she is hired, and Amanda Seyfried says she's going to be live-in. And so this takes you as a viewer back like, that's strange. But you already kind of get that Amanda Seyfried's character is weird based on her interaction with Sydney Sweeney's character at the beginning of the movie. And then we kind of get more crazy throughout the movie when Sydney Sweeney's character wakes up in the morning time and she hears Amanda screaming, yelling downstairs. And this takes such a quick turn because I'm like, what is going on? So immediately you think that Amanda Seyfried's character is crazy, right? And the husband is comforting her. Now we see the husband giving Sydney Sweeney's character this very longing look. And so we're like, okay, we know where this is going. They're going to cheat, have an affair, whatever. But boy, do you... so much more is going on in this movie. And then we get more crazy from Amanda Seyfried's character, and it gets to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't think it could get any worse than this. And you have Sydney Sweeney's character who just seems like, okay, she's sensible. But then we get to a point in the movie where it's like, what, girl, you're bugging. And obviously that's the point where her and the husband have an affair while Amanda is away with her daughter. And the daughter also has quite insight to what's going on, between the parents. We find out actually that the daughter is not the husband's biological daughter. It's actually Amanda's biological daughter. And we find out more about Amanda's character, who pretty much had this baby in college with a professor who took advantage of her. And she was raising the child by herself when she met her husband at a law firm that she was working at. She fell head over heels for him. They got married in a couple weeks. And then we realized that this entire time it wasn't Amanda's character who was crazy, who he was trying to portray as crazy to everyone else. He's actually the crazy one. And so he had locked her up in the attic room that Sydney's character is staying in. And pretty much to get out of this situation, Amanda's character came up with the idea to go and find somebody to hire as a housemaid so that he would fall in love with her or she would fall in love with him, and she would take the place of her so that she could escape and come back for her child. And so to me, the only questionable thing about this is, how did you know that the person you hired would fall in love with him? Because we know that he likes being adored, but how do we know that she would fall in love with him? But, you know, it's a movie, and lo and behold, the girl who we thought had some sense really didn't have much sense at all. And so she actually falls for him, and she thinks that she's in her glory after Amanda gets kicked out, because, of course, she thinks that she's crazy, but this was all a ruse. And which, again, I think Amanda Seyfried plays so well. And so obviously we get to the end of the movie where, you know, we see that Sydney Sweeney's character ends up in the same position that Amanda's character was, locked in the room. He has her do some obscene stuff to herself to get out. And then, you know, he's still like, oh, I don't want to let you out. You got to do it again, or whatever the case is. And then she eventually tricks him into being locked in the room. And she does something that comes back around from earlier in the movie. And I thought that scene was so funny. She does it outside of the door. And it's just so funny to me because he's like panicking and he's like in this room. But anyway, Amanda Seyfried's character comes back with her daughter to get Sydney's character out of the house, because it was actually her daughter that convinced her to go back, because she was going to leave her there. But she goes back for her, not realizing that she actually escaped and he's in the room. And then we see she goes up there, she opens the door, and she lets him out of the room accidentally. Sydney's character sees her, and then this becomes the fight to, you know, save themselves. And eventually they come together, and then he is, you know, and we get the police that come and investigate. And lo and behold, we have a woman cop who is like, oh, you know, my sister was engaged to him once and she was never the same when he came back. And so now the both of them, well, Amanda's character, because she told Sydney's character to, you know, flee. Now Amanda's character is pretty much not guilty, or not found guilty of this murder at all, which is like, that's not really how it works. Like, one cop is not in charge of investigating something. Like, you gotta have a whole team of, you know, detectives and cops investigating if something seems off. But anywho, it's a movie, so we'll excuse the absurdity of this all. And then by the end of the movie, we get a glimpse of Sydney Sweeney's character, and she is hired by another woman that Amanda Seyfried's character recommended Sydney's character to. And we see that she wants her to be hired as a housemaid because her husband has been hinted at abusing her. And so now we know that she's turned into a housemaid out to take revenge on abusive husbands. And I feel like I'm not doing this justice at all. I don't want to ruin too much of this movie because it really does take you on like a roller coaster. It's like, it's so weird. I will say that it takes a while, to be honest with you. I feel like to really get into anything happening, I feel like the first hour pretty much, it's just Amanda Seyfried's character acting completely crazy, and the whole time you're like, when is something going to happen, you know? And then we get the stupidity of Sydney Sweeney's character, and then you get completely annoyed and you're like, when is something going to happen? Honestly, if I didn't know kind of sort of what the book was about, that it was kind of like a thriller or supposed to be, I would have been like, oh my God, so frustrated. But because of that, and I knew something was supposed to happen, I was like, all right, like I know something's gonna happen. And then honestly, there was like an hour plus left once things really started to roll. And then when you realize that there was a whole purpose for the first hour, I wasn't annoyed at all anymore. And there's totally reason for them to do what they did. And so I know some people might still feel like it was too long of, you know, I feel like some people might still feel like it was too long before they really got into things, but I'm pretty much okay with it now, knowing where it went. And I probably will rewatch this. And as of now, they have greenlit a part 2 to this, which I know there's 2 more books, I believe. And so they have greenlit the second one, I guess. And so I know before I watched this movie, originally, when I looked it up, it said that they were not making a part 2, but I guess they were waiting to see the success of it or how successful it is, because the part 2 is greenlit. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I thought this movie was weird but intriguing at the same time. And so yeah, I'm gonna recommend it to you. This movie I'd probably rate 7.8 or 8. No, I'll give it an 8. We're gonna give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. I really liked it, you know? I thought it was interesting. Wasn't what I expected, but at the end of it all, I actually enjoyed it. Did you watch this movie? Did you like this movie? Did you enjoy this movie? What were your thoughts on it? Was it good? Was it bad? Tell me in the comments below. If you want to see more movie reviews like this or more reviews at all, please make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.